Hello YouTube and welcome to today's Frooglesim news for today, Sunday, May the 10th. Couple of news stories today where I can't pronounce the name of the product or the publisher, so it's going to be hilarious, but we'll dive right in with something simple. The Coronado Hawker 850 XP was just released. Now the Hawker 850 XP is a mid-sized corporate jet that was first introduced in 1983, and it's got some interesting stats. It's got a top speed of 448 knots and a ceiling of flight level 410 and a 3,000 mile range, making this an ideal short to medium range hauler for the corporate executive types. The Coronado model covers both FSX and Prepared and includes their ProLine systems, including the PFD, MFD, FGP, which is the Flight Guidance Panel, DCP, Display Control Panel, CDU, and FMS. Now, as always with their complex aircraft, or as is becoming increasingly common with Coronado's complex aircraft, try saying that in a hurry, this uses Navigraph data for navigation and guidance. The model actually includes animations of the wing flex as well as wing vibration during taxi and improved lighting systems over previous Coronado aircraft. It ships with 7 liveries and uses 4K resolution textures, and apparently has been tested as well by real-world pilots. Now, a word of caution, Coronado's recent other jets have all had a number of glitches at launch, so you might want to wait for a first impressions video or review, or maybe even a patch from Coronado before diving in, unless you're very, very keen. The price is $49.95, and more information is available at Coronado's link in the show notes below. Next up, the first place I can't pronounce, Magdeburg. I hope I got that right. 29 Palms have just released the Magdeburg scenery for FSX and Prepared, covering the Magdeburg German Regional Airport. The focus from 29 Palms on this is providing great performance with good visuals, and you'll remember a couple of episodes ago I covered some other 29 Palms scenery which really did look stunning. This particular product is a collaboration between 29 Palms and Captain 7 and includes animated people and vehicle traffic, 2K resolution texture, and even a scenery config tool so that you can tailor it to suit your sim and your system performance. Prices are very reasonable, €15.95. More information at the 29 Palms link in the show notes below. Now, a publisher I can't pronounce, Miami City XP has just released from, I think you pronounce this as Zavicki Design. This is an update or a redevelopment of their original Miami scenery for FSX that was released in 2012. It is highly detailed photorealistic scenery of the entire area of around Miami, including Miami Beach, North Miami, Coral Gables, and Key Biscayne. It also includes frame rate friendly light versions of KMIA, KTMB, and KOPF. Now, they say frame rate friendly light versions, but from the screenshots I've seen, those 3 airports actually look really quite detailed, incredibly detailed in fact, and maybe worthy of a product on their own. But even so, as far as Zavicki Design are concerned, they are light airports. The airports actually have up-to-date airport layouts, and as I said, the scenery covering Miami is photorealistic and also has accurate autogen for roads and buildings. Now, the cool thing with this, of course, is that in X-Plane, we don't run into the dreaded out-of-memory error, so it's nice to see companies stepping up and starting to provide some very, very detailed scenery to cover the regions that we fly in. Price for this is a very reasonable $25 from the xplane.org store, and you can find out more information on the product at the Zavicki Design link in the show notes below. Next up, a product I can pronounce, FlySimWare's MU2B, or MU2B, has just released. Now, this is a fairly quirky aircraft that's been around since the late 1950s, and the video you're watching is from B-Man2101, who is the chief pilot and lead tester of the aircraft for FlySimWare. The MU2B has a 1,450 mile range, 30,000 foot operational ceiling, and a maximum speed of 295 knots. FlySimWare actually worked from hundreds of photographs and recordings of the real aircraft, and they say they try very hard to simulate the real-world operation of the actual beast. It has a shareable cockpit, and I'm not sure what that actually means, but that's a quote from their press information on their website. Presumably it means it works fairly well with some of the cockpit sharing utilities that are starting to appear. It runs on FSX and Prepared, and also simulates the Sperry and Collins instruments, as well as integration with the Flight 1 GPS and the Reality XP GPS systems. Also includes an accurate pressurization system and a service hangar for working through failures and repairs. FlySimWare even went to the length of custom coding a simulation of the 2 great big turboprop engines that power this beast. Price is $41.99. More information at the FlySimWare link in the show notes below. Now, the final two products I'm going to cover are actually from a company I'm quite a big fan of, Aeroplane Heaven. And they're not as prolific as, say, a PMDG or an A2A, but they do produce some awesome aircraft. So starting off with their release of the Globe Swift GC-1A. Now, the Globe Swift was first certified in 1946. It should have certified earlier, but war broke out and delayed that. And after the war, it went head-to-head with the Beechcraft Mentor to be the first post-war trainer, but unfortunately it lost that race to the Mentor. Aeroplane Heaven's version has in-sim tutorial and tips, which are very much like the pop-up tips and windows that you get with A2A aircraft, but a little bit better designed. It features high-definition textures, a beautiful flight model, and is a really simple aircraft to fly, given the era and the original purpose of the aircraft. It comes with 12 liveries and realistically represents Aeroplane Heaven. More information at the Aeroplane Heaven link in the show notes below, and this will set you back $19.95. Now, the final product, again, Aeroplane Heaven, is the F3F2. Now, this is a redevelopment from the ground up of the original Aeroplane Heaven F3F that was released in 2002 for Microsoft Flight Simulator: A Century of Flight. It's a carrier-based fighter hailing from 1938, has a top speed of 255 miles per hour and a service ceiling of 33,000 feet, which, if you think about it, is kind of well, it's actually very impressive for the pilots that were flying it. It wasn't a pressurized aircraft at all. It was open canopy, and they would have been sucking on oxygen tanks and bundling up very warm so as not to really suffer some ill effects at that altitude. The aircraft features high definition textures, beautiful liveries, and fully animated absolutely everything, including the wonderful stutter start startup sequence of the original aircraft. To that end, it also has accurate sound sets and even a config panel to switch the weight and load on the aircraft, as well as switching between the cartridge or the electric startup procedure on that aircraft. Again, FSX and prepared, just like with the Global Swift. It is $19.95. More information at the link in the show notes below. And that's it for this week's news. As always with these news shows, I'm sure I've missed something, and if I have and you know of it, please leave me a comment in the comment section below. So until next time, my name is Frugal, and I'll see you very soon.